if you were to take a snapshot and say, look at these guys, January, February of last year, March of last year, they were all about Top Shot, buying it, talking about it, and then sold it. I'm so fat
Everyone does
that
that.
I took a shower and I came out. I put on new clothes and I'm sweating. I'm just sitting. I did not do any
That's what
physical
happens
activity
after exercise.
but it was no exercise. I had no physical activity except I'm basically breathing. That's it. I'm just sitting here breathing and I'm sweating. And it's winter. I mean, I guess my family does keep the house a little warm, if I'm being honest. So, but check it out. I'm going after this episode. I'm doing Christmas, the last piece of Christmas, because nobody likes me. I have this knack for making enemies, but I got one friend who still tolerates me. But he was, a little bit of a COVID scaredy cat. So, Christmas was delayed. This is actually Christmas 2020 that we're doing now. I'm just kidding, sort of. But so I got gifts for his kid, and he's got gifts for my kid. So I'm gonna go over there. So check it out. I got my Santa Claus shirt on. Check it out, Santa with his little fat belly. Santa's the original dad bod. So there you go. I'm the dad bod. YouTube guys, you got a little treat there. Another shirt. The shirt game is strong with this one here. I will tell you that. But I want to hear about the sneaker game at Culture Collision, man, because that was
That's
part of what we
tomorrow.
talked about. Oh, so tomorrow is a whole separate day for just sneakers? There weren't people walking around with like cool kicks today? I figured that would permeate its way through the show.
Well, first off, Lucas, welcome back to Lucas Tigers LeBron's Oh My, the best sports card podcast in the space. Please subscribe, like, smash the subscribe button.
Like the
Episode
smash
601. Now,
601.
no, dude, I've been dealing. So, being a dealer, first off, it's not that much fun, in my opinion. We could talk about that later.
You'd rather smoke the weed than sell it. I get it. You don't want to be a dealer.
No, I don't want to deal. But and you can't see people's kicks. You know what I mean? Because they're coming up to your table. So I didn't get to notice. But I do want to buy myself a pair of Jordans tomorrow, like I said. So maybe I'll look around a little more tomorrow.
Nice. I'm excited about the Jordan purchase. You walk around Vegas with some nice kicks on. If you remember, because I forget nothing. Luber, when we had him on the show, was one of the things he said. He said, he would walk around shows and he'd be one of the only people who was, looking at people's sneakers at the show. And he realized this was going to, catch on a little bit more when more and more people had fun kicks on at the shows rather than, what would be an old person's shoe? I don't know. Crocs are coming back. My daughter told me kids wear Crocs in middle school now, which is interesting. You put yourself on mute. And you left. But that's okay. Guys, he's in a hotel. And, sometimes okay. But you have black over the whole screen.
Fuck it.
There we go. Okay, he's back. He's back. He's a little smoky. The room looks smoky. The room looks smoky. Is that?
It's just not it's because I'm not using the webcam. I wanted to sit back in the seat, have like a more casual episode.
Dude, sit back in the seat, have a cat. I like it. I think it looks good. What's the shirt say? The shirt
Vamos
says,
Rafa.
Vamos
I'll tell
Rafa.
you guys. Yesterday Rafa played Medvedev, Acapulco. Rafa's ranked 5th. Medvedev is ranked 2nd in the world. Dude, he wiped the floor with him. Rafa wiped the floor with Medvedev. I'll tell you guys, Rafa is in rare form this year. I think he's obviously going to win the French Open. I think he's got a shot at winning all 4 Grand Slams and finishing the year number 1. And I was having some fun. It's hard to find like game used or autographed stuff or, his rookie season cage, his debut was 2001. And I was looking like, I understand Rafa doesn't have the same personality, demeanor that, Jordan did, But when you look back at it, he's going to go down as the greatest tennis player of all time.
Okay. I like it. I mean,
and anytime you can invest in the greatest of all time in anything that we talk about cards, I think you have to at least consider and start doing research on that market.
I mean, it's a tough one because there's a 3-headed monster, that played during this time. And, Rafa and Federer and Djokovic all at times during the last decade could lay claim to the greatest tennis player of all time. I know with the most recent win this year, Nadal moved ahead in, the win totals. But, I mean, Djokovic is still playing, He's got some drama surrounding him and whatnot. But you know,
Well, the drama doesn't matter. People just don't like Djokovic. It was the same conversation yesterday. Yesterday, but today I looked at the card. McNanny had this 1971 or something like that tops of Oscar Robertson, and Oscar Robertson's stats are almost identical to Westbrook's stats. But the big caveat, the big change is people like Oscar Robertson. People don't like Russell Westbrook. And it's the same with Djokovic. People don't like Djokovic. People like Nadal.
All right. I mean, point taken. How about this?
Tennis bores you.
An outspoken one-time All-Star, I believe, from the 90s, played in the 80s and the 90s, said he made a statement, and it got kind of eviscerated on Twitter and the whole deal. But he basically said, we're talking about Giannis. Giannis is great. Giannis has gotten really good. You know, he's hitting the protein shakes and the whole deal. But if Giannis played back when he played, he would come off the bench. And Giannis would not be doing what he does now. And of course, like I said, he was eviscerated. This is Charles Oakley made this statement. It's all over Twitter right now. And said, you know, if he played back in the 90s, Giannis wouldn't be doing anything that he's doing now. And of course, everybody comes to Giannis' defense. And really, why I think this is a great talking point is it is a and why I segued into this from tennis, not because tennis bores me, because it is an important lesson 601 episodes in for our audience to learn, to pay attention to, you name it. It's called the primacy effect, right? It's a psychology thing, right? It's first and last, right? You remember the first thing you taught, you remember the last thing you taught. It's also recency bias. That just looks funny, but I like it. I think you should stay like that.
I wanted to get more light out. It was dark in here.
Dude, you're allowed. You do your thing, man. You are on location, right? You can do whatever you like. Seriously. So recency bias, it plays a role, right? And let's just talk about two things that you just spoke about, right? Because it works one way, and sometimes it works the other, right? Recency bias. Nadal is the greatest tennis player ever. Let's talk about how he is a buy now because he's a GOAT. If you went back into the 80s, you know, people would be talking about how, you know, maybe
Sampras?
Sampras, late 80s, early 90s, sure. You know, Andre Agassi might have been the greater player. Sampras, great player. Going to, you know, 90s. I mean, it's just there's plenty of names, McEnroe and Yvonne Lendl and Jimmy Connors, and you know who's the greatest women's player ever. It was always Martina Navratilova. She wiped the floor with Chris Evert, but now it's Serena Williams because she's playing now, and Naomi Osaka. Who knows what she's going to do in 10. Every generation has their story. They have their line, right? So your tennis is Rafa. If you went back a couple years ago when Westbrook averaged a triple-double for the season, right? And people are like, this is an MVP. This guy is young. He's going to do this forever. He's going to win some championships. There were people saying Westbrook was one of the best players in the league. Seriously, that's what people were saying. People were comparing him to Oscar Robertson, right? But a couple years later, now the comparisons are a little bit different because Russ does not look like the same player. He doesn't play good team ball. He hasn't really won anything. And
they lost the Clippers last night.
Yeah, they lost to the Clippers, and you know LeBron passed again when the game was on the line, and yes, the whole
makes me so happy inside.
I don't want to root against them, but let's just follow through with the thing, right? And I'm going to give you an out here at the end. You don't have to.
I'm going to give you an out because if you're comparing Westbrook to Rafael Nadal, that's like when I'm an idiot and I compare myself on the basketball court to Michael Jordan.
No, it would be at the time a couple years ago when he had that. I averaged a triple-double. People were going nuts for his cars. No one was saying he was the best ever. Why I'm giving that one that you –
Rafa has 21 Grand Slams. He's first ever in Grand Slams.
Number one. He just got number one this year. That is the very definition of recency bias. If you went back a year ago when he was not first in Grand Slam lead, the majority of people wouldn't have said he was the number one major tennis player of all time. They would have probably said it was Djokovic while he was.
It was the three-headed monster.
And
my point is that he's going to separate himself from those.
And you might be right. And this is the time where
because of his form right now. You know how like in soccer they talk about form, like how like we don't use that actually in English sports, but in soccer they talk about if he's in form.
Yes.
Rafa's so in form right now that he could end this season with 24 Grand
Yeah.
Slams, and now Jokic has 20.
Yes.
Fed has 20. That's what I
100%.
mean.
I trust me. I get it, man. And I guess the point here is not to say that Westbrook is an all-time great. The point was to give kind of a backwards view of it, that there are situations where you can compare somebody to somebody from another generation, and that other generation does prevail. Usually it's when it's somebody who's currently playing like shit, like Westbrook. That was the point of it now, that you would rather have an Oscar Robertson than a Westbrook. But if anybody asks, would you rather have an Oscar Robertson than some of the other players that are playing well right now? Hell, John Morant. People might, if you went to a card show and asked that around, probably 8 out of 10 people would take the John Morant over Oscar Robertson when you compare their stuff. Now, again, I'm not comparing Ja to Nadal. Nadal's been around a while. He's got some accolades. He's won some stuff, 100%. What I am making a point about is recency, right? Nadal has had a great run now. Djokovic may have a great run in a year or two and pass the 21, and then all of a sudden now Nadal is not thought of as the greatest. It's that three-headed monster again. The point here, guys, is it's the conversation of Oakley and Giannis, right? Giannis may wind up being an all-time great. He got crushed saying, "Oh, Charles Oakley would be a bench player now." He probably would be, right? And I guess here's the bridge of it all.
Charles Oakley's like a poor man's Andre Drummond, no?
Okay, here's the bridge, right? It's very difficult comparing different players of different generations, and there's the out, right? And I'm going to tell you what Charles Oakley meant, and why it's difficult to say Westbrook versus Oscar Robertson, why it's difficult to compare, Rafael Nadal and Jimmy Connors. Individual sport, a lot easier. The rules haven't exactly changed too much. I mean, they added fun little challenges. But what he was trying to say was, in the 90s, and he did mention this, he would say Giannis would not have been allowed to do that Euro step. The fact that he's 6'11", 7'2", whatever he is any given year, and can take 3 steps without traveling from the three-point line to the basket, he would have had his head taken off in the 90s because the rules were different. The style of play was different. They would have used every foul on him they can, and most of the time they wouldn't have called a foul on him. If you came in the lane, you got beat up. Watch film of the 90s. So what would have happened was Giannis would not have been learning how to do Euro step. He would have had to have learned to make a jump shot. That's what forwards had to do in the 90s. And what Oakley is saying, right or wrong, what he's saying is that Giannis has not shown yet that he can pull up and make that jump shot, especially if the opposite is not there, especially if you don't have the threat of that
Wilt
drive.
Chamberlain dominated by not shooting ever.
Wilt Chamberlain was just much taller than everybody else. That's one difference. And
Giannis would also have been much taller than everyone else if he played in that era.
No, not at all. And the centers were not exactly dominant then, and there's a lot of arguments about that on Twitter as well.
How
people saying
if Giannis played in Wilt Chamberlain's time, it's the same. Giannis would destroy everybody.
If Giannis played in Chamberlain's time, sure, he would have been taller, he would have been bigger. He's muscular. It's a different game. And people were making that argument too. Like, look at Oakley. Oakley's not muscular, the whole 9 yards, and obviously, Giannis looks roided up. He looks like he's on the proteins, the whole 9 yards. But
he just works out, dude.
Listen, you're making my point. The game changes. It changed from Chamberlain's time too. People used to shoot the ball at the free throw line underhanded, right? The game changes. Rules change. It changed from last year to this year. Are you a believer in Trey as much this year? Are you a believer in Harden as much this year? No, because they can't fake.
Are we even going to get to Harden? You're like 6 minutes into your topic. I don't even know.
Because you don't shut up.
That's not true. You don't shut up.
Oh man. Okay. So I'll shut up then. You tell me what point you want to make. 600.
I'm going on mute. We haven't had one of these episodes in a while, Cage. We're playing a game of chicken with each other, aren't we? Do you ever play today?
Of course I do. So anyway, guys, the point that I'm trying to make is I think Oakley's argument was absurd. Giannis would never have come off the bench. Giannis is a great player. The bigger point here is it's difficult to make comparisons of players across generations. It's what makes a lot of fun arguments also difficult. It's why we'll never know whether Jordan or LeBron was really the greatest player of all time, because LeBron never really got.
It's not the same thing. You could go by the accolades.
The accolades depend on the time that they're playing, right?
The
So
individual ones, but not the team ones.
all of them. But they played on different teams. What if LeBron played on the Bulls team and had Scottie Pippen
He
on his
probably
team?
will.
And no, he probably will. You're right. He probably play on the Magic or some other lottery team when Bronny comes out. The point, of course, is I think we should appreciate the players for for who they are, and of course realize that it's difficult to go comparing across generations. But the learning point on this one is, for whatever reason, in the collecting world, unless you're talking about Russell Westbrook, who nobody cares about, that was a great analysis. In the collecting world, everybody is very quick to goat the current player. Everybody's quick to say that this guy is the GOAT. Nadal is the GOAT. LeBron is the GOAT. These sports have been played for a very, very, very long time. And yes, people have gotten better. People have gotten more athletic. People have, figured out a way to push their physical boundaries and the laws of physics more than they were able to do previously. I guess what I'm saying is, a little bit of caution on the whole, like the greatest players ever are now, and that the guys now are better than the ones before. Rarely does it happen that the GOAT, the real greatest to ever play the game, is a current player. I think Tom Brady is the only one I've seen, in the last 20 years. We'll see though, because kids growing up now are not going to know Tom Brady, and maybe they think Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. Maybe they think Mahomes is the end all be all. It's just something I was thinking about before the episode because I saw it on Twitter. I like to come on here and talk about the stuff that I'm thinking about. I got 4 or 5 other things that I'm thinking about today. It was just an interesting one. I thought it'd be a good counterpoint, because you did not watch the games in the late 80s and the early 90s. You watch the games now. So, yeah, I mean, I would expect you to come out on Giannis's side. The point was not that Giannis sucked or that Giannis would have been terrible. The point is that Giannis is playing by different rules than the game was played back then. And that does have an impact. That's all.
I totally agree. So, I apologize for interrupting as well.
Dude,
so,
you don't have to. I interrupt you every single time. I just did it now.
You said 5, 6 topics.
Yeah, I got a bunch of topics. How about this? Ticket stubs. Are they out in full effect at the show? Is anybody setting up? So you see any ticket stubs, graded tickets being sold?
I mean, McNanny sold his Hank Aaron auto ticket stub that was autographed. But not like... It's a collector's item. Like it's not an investment piece. Some things are investment items and collector's items, but it's like, this is cool. Like if I get an office, I would put it in the back. It's a beautiful signature. So everyone has a few ticket stubs that mean something to them, but it's not like the thing about ticket stubs are one of ones. Basically every ticket stub is a one of one if it's autographed or something like that. But there's not a ton. There's not a ton. Everyone has 1 or 2, but not a ton.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely do I see more than 1 or 2 people with 1 or 2 of them at a show.
Right.
And yet, if you look at the talking points and you look at some of the auctions that are coming out in the whole 9 yards, you would think that this is the up and coming investment area. Golden's got some tickets in their coming auction.
I would probably say it's so like everyone collects ticket stubs in the sense like they'll go to a game and then they'll like put a ticket stub in like a shoebox. I think when people start watching the news and seeing like, oh my God, Ken Golden is on that Barney show with CNBC and he's talking about how a ticket stub sold for $500,000, people start going through their old junk, and inevitably the supply grows as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably a very valid statement. I got ticket stubs in my basement, full tickets, hard tickets, Madison Square Garden for games that I went to and whatnot.
Yeah, and like imagine like our family isn't this because we moved into a brand new house, but there are like, and it's like the all American story. Like we heard these when we moved to America. Like like families like kind of pass down their old houses down the line type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone went through their Babe Ruth cards or their Mickey Mantle cards because they knew those had value. But like when you start seeing that, like ticket stubs are selling for these record prices, I bet you go to the attic and you're like, yo, Dad, weren't you at that game in like the 1970s? And start seeing like maybe you were. Maybe you kept that ticket stub and you don't even realize.
So, I mean, my take on ticket stubs, I'm not going to shit on them. I'm really not. Because you made a great point that they're one of ones. it's sort of like that memorabilia emotional connection that Rips was talking about with the Trae Young, thing on his head. The ticket stubs that I found in my basement the other day, I found two. My wife bought tickets for me to go to Patrick Ewing's retirement. When they retired his jersey, and we went. We had great seats. It was awesome. I was a big Ewing fan, and I kept the tickets. I also have, a little banner, like a Rafters jersey, and it got it that night. They were giving them out. They were hanging the jersey, up in the rafters. It was Foot Locker. It was, Patrick Ewing. There's the number. They retired the number. They put it up there. It's in the rafters, And I kept this. I took it home. I folded it up like this, and I put the tickets in it. This is only out here because Ian was hanging up in his room when he found it in the basement. He's like, I want to hang that in my room next to my Giannis poster that I colored. All right. Well, do you know who this guy is? No. Why? Recency bias. So in any event, it's a lot of fun,
Is today's theme for you recency bias? You got to
part of it, but it makes sense.
Why does that bother you or frustrate you or annoy you or rub you the wrong way?
It doesn't bother or frustrate. It's something I want to make sure that folks who are investing now know, right? Because everybody wants to invest in the shiny new toy, like you're talking about all the time, right? And we all want to invest in stuff where someone's playing, where we can cheer on our guy. But it's very possible that the entire generation of baseball right now, basketball right now, football for the next 10 years is not going to have the next great. It very well might not be. Yeah, but people are going to invest. Yeah, shoot.
I want to also say the shiny new toy doesn't always look like you think the shiny new toy looks like. Like right now, the shiny new toy is everyone's buying Mickey Mantles, Cage.
No, that's people who are listening to stuff like we're talking about.
Why is everyone going after Mantles right? How is that not?
Toy. Because you can never consider Mantle the shiny new toy. The shiny new toy this year is going to be Bobby Witt or Volpe or Dominguez or Ryan Mountcastle or Wander Franco or ticket stubs. Yeah, I mean you can go across asset classes also. Mantle's the opposite of the shiny new toy. It's just people.
I'll tell you, most of the people at the show.
Well, you're hanging out with Lenhart.
most of the people at the show are looking for Mantles. There was a huge trade. MC Sports Cars traded his Mantle 2.5 for dual auto Kobe Jordan.
Nice.
And Ruth cut card or something like that.
That's cool.
So I mean, Mantle is that a shiny new toy? Most of the people at the show are buying.
Most
of the people at the show are buying vintage, Cage. Even the fucking kids.
Listen, I like that. But you want to know why that is? Because people got burned.
It's because it's the shiny new toy.
It's not the shiny.
It's just not the way it looks like.
It's the opposite of the shiny new toy, dude. The very point of calling something shiny is it has to be shiny. It has to look shiny. You can't say the shiny new toy. You don't know what it's going to look like. That it has to look shiny. That's what makes it the shiny new toy.
Gotcha. No one would confuse your collection that you posted on the Card Point page.
You say all the time. Nothing of mine is shiny and new. 100%. No, but I mean. Listen, it's about the cards. It's about more than the cards. It's about different asset classes. And listen, let's call a spade here, right? We have chased shiny new toys also. We have. Myself personally. Let me throw it out there, right? About a year ago, January, February, when we were doing our episodes, what would that be? 300 and something episodes ago. Top Shot was a cool new asset class. And we came on and we talked about it a lot, right? And we talked about it a lot. And at the time we were talking about it, we believed that it was an asset class that was investable and had a real bright future. And, that it was a place where people can, explore a new type of asset. I think they might have gotten a little ahead of themselves. I think that they mass produced the hell out of it and it became a cash grab. We've now turned a little sour on it. But if you were to take a snapshot and say, look at these guys, January, February of last year, March of last year, they were all about Top Shot, buying it, talking about it, and then sold it, and now don't have it anymore. And, people can look at that from the outside and say, well, they pumped up Top Shot and then they dumped it. Okay. The difference there is I was hoping all the way through that Top Shot was something that was going to be a long-standing new type of asset class, something that could be investable for a long time. When we were talking about it, the production numbers on Series 1 and Series 2 were minimal. You're talking about a tiny amount, like Zion rookie Top Shot numbers, 1,300 of them total. When you compare that against, the Prism PSA 10 of 20,000, right, for his rookie, it makes sense. But what they did as they got more popular and as the money came in was they turned the machines back on, like the Duke brothers in Trading Places. You know what I mean? They went 89 Upper Deck on us with Ken Griffey Jr. and they just printed. And I think the moments now that are being made are 60,000. And they're not capped at 60,000. Like they could potentially print more when they do packs. They're releasing millions of moments, and that changed the entire structure of it. It changed the whole investability of it.
So then, if that's so,
shoot.
Let me ask the question. I think this is probably where you're leading as well. At the show, I've been seeing a lot more showing off of cards, than buying of cards.
Yes,
and it's crazy. Like you see kids, like actual kids, 16-year-olds, or like kids like 20-year-olds, with these incredible collections. Edwards Gold, Edwards Black Gold, LaMelo Black Gold, RPA, a 1 of 1. But
do you tell them Edwards and LaMelo are the shiny new toy? Because it's a perfect example.
I want to ask you if Luka is the shiny new toy as well.
He was. 100%.
He was, or he is? Because
he kind of still is.
So I there's a show PWCC has. It's called Unvaulted.
Mm-hmm. Yep, seen it.
And one of the guys on it was Nick Fiorella.
Yep.
So his son and Fractor man and Summertime Cards. We talked sports for like an hour at our table. Great guys all the way across the board. The kid has an incredible collection. Incredible collection. But he believes like Luka's gonna have an insane NBA career. And I was saying, Luka's been a pro from 15 years old. Like I could see him retiring at 30, going back to Europe. I don't know. Is Luka still the shiny new toy? Because people are paying big money for his. His dad bought the $4.4 million Luka logo, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Luka still fits in the shiny new toy category, but some of the shine came off of him this year, and people passed Luka. Ja. People are collecting Ja now. It is that whole recency thing. I mean, Ja has passed Luka on the MVP rankings, and he's young, and people want to buy his cards. But no, I mean, on the high end stuff, 100%. I mean, look at how much people are paying for the Luka Gem 10 out of 99 National Treasures. I mean, the high end stuff, it's crazy. So.
So Top Shot turned the machines on. If you kind of look at the hobby, there's a lot of supply of what looks like good cards. Do you expect a bit of like a flatter correction because of this supply run? Like, how are you viewing the market? And I know you got to bounce. We'll get into
no, not at all. 100%. I got time. I will tell you, yes, and it's kind of what we talked about yesterday. We talked about like Spectra and those products and Elite, which, by the way, I don't have it. I have it over here. Join us tomorrow and whatnot. We're breaking a box of Elite. Whatnot, 10 a.m. We're gonna do some Elite. I got a giveaway, I got a jog giveaway. We got some.
Am I joining that?
If you want, I mean, you're in Atlanta, so I don't know if you're gonna wake up. It depends what you do tonight. I heard you were doing the Atlanta tour hosted by Lou Williams. No, you're not doing that tonight. Anyway,
who knows?
You do your thing. I mean, yeah, if you could wake up, come on, 100%. If I see you in the in the chat, I'll invite you in and you do your thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff being printed, right? And I guess the whole thing that ties it all in there, right, is we talk about this a lot more with football. Not every one of these quarterbacks is going to be the one that is, the great out of this deal. Not every one of these young kids, and not every card of all of these young kids. So it's not enough to get the right one. You got to get the right card of the right player. And with people printing, it's an interesting thing in the hobby. Yes, I do expect some flattening out. Yes, I do expect some potential cards that you think are like, wow, look at that great card. You see it at the edges, the fringes initially when you see like the Mac Jones card come out, PSA 10, and you're like, wow, look at that Mac Jones sell for how much? And then obviously more cards come out, more cards will come out. And, it's going to change the pricing of these things. There's no shortage of supply. And I'm curious, this is a bigger show, but like I go to a local show and I see a lot of kids, like you said, with good cards, but not a lot of activity going on with the cards. Not a lot of trading with the cards. I see kids with Lamellos and kids with Edwards and kids with Tatis, and I see them showing them to each other, and it's like, no, I don't want that. No, I only want Ohtani, and I only want this, or this for Ohtani. I only want this. Tatis, he gets injured. I don't really want him anymore. Is there a lot of deal making going on, especially among those young kids who have, bless you, buddy, those Lamellos and Edwards and Golds and Black Golds, or is it more showing off?
I mean, when everyone has like a nice card, it's hard. Like, what's the incentive to? I don't know how they have such nice cards. Like, I think it's your theory of they got into it all in 2016.
A lot of them did, or earlier.
And from what I've seen, they just walk around with their cases, and we talk. But I haven't seen a ton of deals.
Mm-hmm.
A few, but most of the deals that I see that are like on the big level are more like recorded deals,
right?
Like with the cameraman.
Content. Yeah.
So, or I see a lot of like I do see people buying some raw cards of just like the guys they like a Randy Johnson auto for like 50, 60 bucks.
Yeah.
For
Randy
fun.
Johnson collectibles, like people who collect 100%.
I was surprised. Like I thought, and this is the first show. I have Edward Silver, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I priced it pretty well. Like, I thought that was a liquid card. That's a fun card to trade. No love. No one cared about it.
So that was another topic that I had for you. The other topic was I leave card shows, and every single time I say to myself, I should have just sold every card I have here on eBay, Probstein, PWCC, whatever it is. If I'm looking to sell these cards, I should just sell them and have the money and buy what I want. It's harder to trade your card with a dealer or somebody else there. They don't want to buy your stuff. They don't want to trade for your stuff. And I've heard this a bunch of times at shows, not just me, but other people coming up with a binder, a book, a box, a Zion case, or whatever it is. Say, are you buying? And for the most part, the dealers will say, it depends on what kind of cards you have. If you have liquid cards, sure, I'm buying. Now, think about that for a second, right? If you have liquid cards, I'm buying. And that changes over, time, depending on what's hot and what people are looking for. But card shows, I see a lot more flexing, a lot more content making, and less deals. What say you as you currently sit in Atlanta, second day of a card show?
I think it depends on the cycle. Like, what if we had a card show? What if we had National during the boom of August 2020? Remember that?
Yeah.
That would have been really interesting because I think there would be a lot of activity. Right? When card prices are moving, there's new people getting into the hobby. People are getting cards back from PSA. They're sitting on cash. They're also sitting on nice inventory that's going up quickly week over week. I think you would see a lot of activity. I think right now is you're actually seeing PSA PSA is sending people's cards back. So you see a supply run, but you don't see a lot more demand coming in. So I think like the spread between the ask and the bid is a lot higher now, if that makes sense. I'll give you guys my play.
And it's difficult, right? So you don't have liquidity either, right? Because nobody wants to buy everyone's cards. They only look for specific ones, and then when they do want to buy them, the people who are collecting them and bringing them to the show, they know what they can get on eBay for them, and the dealer doesn't want to pay that for it. You know what I mean? They know what they can sell it for or what the last couple have sold for.
And this is vintage excluded because vintage, there's like these dudes that are like 57 years old that like don't even have like a case. They just have like a shirt pocket with like just like a shirt pocket, like 3 cards in there. And they're like, I want to buy a $13,000 mantle. I want Willie Mays. I want Jackie Robinson.
Right.
There's just those guys that are like, they want to spend $15K on a card.
So before we get into our plays, one quick little note. I don't agree with everything these guys do. I think they really have gotten into a lot of tooting their own horns and, touting themselves as better versions of collectors than everybody else. But I do want to give the card ladder guys, after now smacking them, a little bit of credit. It's great that they're niche collectors. It's great that they are collectors and do it the right way. And, they know about PMGs and no one else does. And, they don't care about like regular rookie cards that are high pop. They would rather have a one-of-one. I want to give them some credit for a feature that they threw on Card Ladder That's I don't know how widespread they're gonna be able to do this because it looks like real manual. It looks like something that they're gonna have to go in and verify themselves, but they're verifying sales and basically weeding out shill bidding. I mean, this is an amazing thing. You can't really overstate how important this is for the hobby for countering some of the shilling that goes
We
on out
talked
there.
to McNanny about it. Why would you shield that card?
You talk about the Mahomes?
Yeah, wouldn't you shield a card that's like the market's going up on?
No, because people are in that card like crazy, and people want to get out of it at like 7,500 or 7,000, but they can't if the true value, the true sale price is 6. So what they do is it's a liquid card. They fake the sales. Bless you again, buddy. They have a one account, whatever it is, and then somebody. So I'm telling the truth, man. Pravda. So somebody will take that card at a show, and you walk around and say, "Oh, I want that Mahomes," and the dealer will say, "Okay, 7,200. Look, 18 of the last 20 sales are higher than that, even though 18 of the last 20 sales are fake sales. So if you're somebody who has 10 of those and you're looking to dump one, it doesn't cost anything to fake a comp on eBay. It doesn't get paid for, you name it, and that generates these fake comp prices out there. And you're getting 20% more for the card than it really is, actually selling for when deals are finalized. That's a pretty cool feature that they're throwing in there. I don't think anybody else does because it's got to be a real manual, pull. They got to look at the data. They got to, figure out whether the deal was actual, whether or not there's shilling on it, look at who the bidders were, pull out the 1-0, whatever feedback on those bids. And really just get a general feel for what the card is really selling for and identify it. So that's a cool tool. I give those guys some credit for that, 100%. I stop. I only spend about 3 minutes now on the crossover episodes, though. I know people hate me also. People who tune in here and are like, wow, what the hell is he talking about? He's a bloviator as well. But I go on there and I'm like, okay, we get it, guys. Okay, we get it. Yes. Your way of collecting. One of ones are cooler. One of ones and rare cards are the way to go. We all get it. Niche.
Why does their opinion bother you so much?
Niche. It doesn't bother me. It's just that there are different ways of collecting. And I like that they collect that way, but I will never tell people that is the way to collect.
Yeah, right? But dude, they also get burned too. Like, I mean, Chris Hodge collects a lot of one-on-ones of Christian McCaffrey.
But that's personal collection. He's not getting burned by that. He probably would be happy, not that he got injured, but happy.
Right, and what he's saying is he didn't get burned because he's a collector. Because if he's buying with the intent to never sell, can you really get burned? No, one Christian McCaffrey is one Christian McCaffrey.
I think where I'm going is let's compare and contrast a certain type of card, a certain style of card, right? There are people out there who would much rather have a LeBron gold refractor, right? Or a LeBron black refractor, or a LeBron refractor, right? Even though there's plenty of them, right? But there are also people out there who would much rather have, a low-numbered, exquisite RPA of LeBron, right? Not the main one, but comparable pricing, right? Maybe an 8 or 9 or whatever it is. I'm not going to say that one of those is the right way to do it because guess what? 2 years ago, the answer was different than it is now, right? That's what happens in the hobby. The pendulum swings, right? 2 years ago, don't give a shit about kabooms or prism golds. Now they do. And the traditional collector, people who buy rookie cards, base rookie cards, have not seen as much gains as the people who are buying what you would call shiny new toys. Those kabooms, those prism golds, the PMGs. Well, guess what? The PMGs and those prism golds, they've had their run. And who's to say that in 2 years that the rookie cards or another type of card isn't going to run better over the next 2 years because the PMGs have already run so much? I don't know the answer to that. I would never come on here and tell you which one is the answer because I don't know the answer. Because what we've seen is over different time periods, different things have swung and moved higher. So I don't know the right way to collect. 100%. I can tell you the way I do it, but that's not me telling you that that's the right way. Not in a million years. So you want to give your play or should I?
I got to bounce in 11 minutes. So my play is really simple. Like I said, I was sitting next to McNanny, big Peyton Manning collection. Drake also the big Peyton Manning collection. Maybe this is just me. I'm excited to move stateside to do the whole buy raw grade flip. that gets me excited more than buying the right $600,000 card, holding it for 3 years, and selling it. I just don't know that game yet, is what I'm realizing. And there's a lot of Manning cards out there that are cool in the sense of they're aesthetically pleasing, and I think a lot of people coming up to the table, I think they just want like their first cool Manning card. And you could get like I'll give you one example of a card. It's the 1998 Skybox EX 2000, right? People love that set cage. It's like
Mhm.
it has like it's like see-through, really nice looking card. I mean, the card ladder value for that card raw is $28. You have the 1998 X Stardate 2000, a different version, 2000 X 1998 X Stardate 2001 number 15. That's $100 card raw. So I would take a look at some of these, especially if you're going to shows.
Mhm.
Send that to SGC and get that back in 1 to 2 weeks. I think you could flip that for like I think you can buy raw cards for 50 to 100, grade it for 30, and sell it for 250 to 300.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So, guys, I'm going to throw one out there also. We both got to go. If you stuck with us through 40 minutes of this, back and forth, lots of fun, different things on any episode. We're 601 episodes in. Love you guys for that. You come in here, you listen to us kind of chat here and there, and drop everything from movie lines to comparing and contrasting across generations. Talk about whether or not something might be a pump and dump. Talk about our own little history. Talk about fun. But hopefully you get a cool play after spending 40 minutes with us. I love Andrew's play because it doesn't have to be a rookie card. It doesn't have to be the top card. It can be an accessible card that you can grade for a decent price and then actually have a legitimate return on it. So I like it. Mine, there's not a ton of these out there on eBay, so I'd like to reward, and you can find them on ComC and stuff. I'd like to reward our listeners 2 different plays. One that's going to be easier for you to find and might be a cooler one, but the other one is what I think is a rookie. We got some craziness going on in Ukraine, right? You can hear a whole bunch of different stories about it. My co-host here, he's got friends and folks over there, and concerned about them as well. We're going to see a lot of news stories, and sometimes with news stories come buying opportunities. So you're probably going to read over the coming days and maybe weeks stories about the Klitschko brothers, Ukrainian heavyweight champions. And Vitaly Klitschko, he's coming out basically, saying he's going to stay there and fight. I mean, these are people who made millions of dollars, in the ring, at the pinnacle of the sport, and can live anywhere they want, made enough money to do whatever they want. He's saying he's going to stay over there and fight without getting into the craziness, the politics, the whole 9 yards. Vitaly Klitschko has 2 cards that I would recommend you guys take a look at. There's an 02 rookie review card. It came on a sheet, so it's cut. What's funny about it is the 2002 card, why I like it, even though it's not a, quote, rookie, is it's one of those cards that has 4 people on it, and it has his brother is one of the other ones. So you got Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko on the same card, and one of the other guys on it is Mike Tyson. So that's a cool little boxing piece of fun, and they're available on eBay for less than $10 in raw condition. I see one right now I'm looking at for $7.95. It's called the 2002 Rookie Review Boxing Card, Klitschko, Klitschko. There is a gold version of this card, which sells for a little bit more. There's a couple of auctions on that. If that's the way you want to go. I see one auction ends tomorrow. It's at $58. If you wanted to go a little deeper, these are available also. It's the one that I think is his rookie, 2001 Browns Boxing, card number 53, Vitaly Klitschko. Browns Boxing has sets. There's a Mayweather of it. You've seen the other ones. This is a little, not as cool. Those have like yellow borders with gloves on it. This just looks like a picture. It says his name on the bottom of it. Pretty vanilla. 2001 Browns Boxing. I see him available. Less than $100. Best offer on eBay right now. It's an interesting one. You buy it, have it out at a show. People are going to be hearing this name. Like I said, over the coming days and weeks, and everybody likes a story, and you can picture this one being kind of like the next boxing movie one day.
He's the mayor of Kiev.
Yeah, he's the mayor of Kiev. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's another one of those interesting life and sport combining. It makes for a fun play that I'm telling you. You can, if you listen to us and you're one of the first ones out there, you can probably find this right now cheap. I see uncut sheets for $20. that has all 4 cards on it and stuff there. So take a look. It's a fun little one, and enjoy. And guys, 10 a.m. whatnot. You want to tell folks what you're doing tonight?
Going to the Raptors Hawks game?
Woo! This guy's gonna go see Ice Trey. Can he do a little Ice Trey for the YouTube watchers, and then we'll let you go?
Nah, not today.
Yeah, I can do a little Ice Trey.
My ride's here. I gotta peace out. Love you, Luca Nation.
Take care, everybody.